Hi, and welcome back to the Suburban Chateau. I'm Stephanie Everett. We have another exciting day of the Danube River adventure that my husband and I just came back from. And I'm just really enjoying sharing with you all these sights that we saw. The next place we stopped was in Slovakia. And I was definitely not aware of some of the turmoil in the Slovakia region and how it's turned into some different Czech Republic and Slovakia and all those things. I wasn't aware of all that history. I'm sure I had it in my history classes in high school, but I wasn't exactly aware of all of it. So we certainly learned a lot, but we visited a little, well, it wasn't a little city. It was a big city, but we went to the old town section of Bratislava in Slovakia. And it is actually the capital city of Slovakia. Just an incredible walking tour of that old town section and so much history, beautiful churches that we were able to see there. Just every one of these towns made such an indelible impression. The architecture and of course the history and how so much of it is all tied together with the Austro-Hungarian Empire and, all of those things. I found it just fascinating. And now I'm even just learning so much more as I look back on the places we've seen. So I hope you really enjoy a little mini tour of the old town section of Bratislava, Slovakia. Bratislava is the capital and largest city of Slovakia. It is the fourth largest of all the cities on the Danube River. Slovakia borders both Austria and Hungary and has been influenced by many cultures and nearby people. Bratislava is currently the political, cultural, and economic center of Slovakia. Following World War I, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was dissolved, and the United States played a major role in the establishment of Czechoslovakia. After World War II, the Communist Party seized power in Czechoslovakia, and it became part of the Eastern Bloc. Large residential areas consisting of high-rise, prefabricated piano buildings were built, and about 25% of Bratislava's old town section was destroyed. To make space for the development, much of the city's Jewish quarter was demolished. And by 1989, we saw the end of communist rule, causing the area once again to be divided into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. In 1993, Bratislava became the new capital of the new Slovak Republic, or Slovakia. I think it's so important to understand that history that I just outlined before you see the old town of Bratislava. Once we left our boat and were walking towards that old town center, we passed many buildings that you could consider part of the communist regime. Windowless, concrete, large high-rise structure with absolutely no story to tell. But when we reached the old town center, it was if the city came alive. The very first building we laid our eyes on in the old town center was the National Theater of Slovakia, and an incredible building that dates back to Austro-Hungarian times, but is completely intact. High above Bratislava sits the Bratislava Castle, up on that citadel tower looking down on the Danube below. Very near to Bratislava Castle is St. Martin's Church, and what an incredible building that is. It's also known as the Coronation Church because 11 kings and queens received their crown in that church. And you can see that beautiful crown on top of the spire. In many churches, you see a cross, but at the Coronation Church, it is a crown. As we found in most of these major cities, there was another statue erected to the memory of those lost to the plague. This was the plague of 1712, and the Holy Trinity column was erected in 1713 in memoriam of those that lost their lives to the plague. We'll see another one in Vienna that is even more ornate and quite an impressive statue. The Holocaust Memorial was erected in 1996 to commemorate the 105,000 Holocaust victims from Slovakia. One of the connections that I was not aware of about Bratislava was that composer connection. And when I'm talking about composers, I mean Mozart, Beethoven, and of course, Franz Liszt. You can see an incredible statue, a bronze statue of Franz Liszt is in this courtyard in the Bratislava Old Town section. And we did often see placards with the different composers depicted on the placards. One of the most unique places we visited was outside of the Keglovich Palace. And the Keglovich Palace was the home of Countess Anna Louise Barbara Keglovich, who was a student of Beethoven, and he dedicated several sonatas to her during his lifetime. So there was quite a rich history of connection with some of these composers that we think of, yes, Vienna, but also Bratislava. In the Franciscan Square in the Old Town section of Bratislava sits the Church of the Holy Savior. It was originally built for Protestant worship and was not allowed to resemble the architecture of the Catholic Church. Today, the church belongs to the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuit order. There is certainly a connection between art and culture in the Old Town section of Bratislava. And one way we see this is some very interesting and quirky statues that are all paced around the Old World section. This first one is the Napoleonic soldier, and it's a great place to take a picture, and you can sit in front of the Napoleonic soldier. But supposedly, Napoleon soldiers were in Bratislava in around 1809, and this one fell in love with a girl from Bratislava and stayed. Next, we have the sculpture of John of Nepomuk, and you can see angels surrounding him in the courtyard of the Primate Palace. John is the national saint of Bohemian, who was drowned at the behest of King Wenceslas. The next sculpture that I ran into was, of course, the sculpture of St. George and slaying the dragon. And this one was a prominent courtyard in the Old Town section. And it's such a lovely place to sit, and it's such an interesting story, and of course, an amazing piece of sculpture. But the most fun sculpture we found was Man at Work. And this one's been around since the 90s, and we're not sure if he's just having fun watching all the girls go by or just taking a little break from his work. Well, our time in Bratislava was over. We had one last look at that amazing National Theater building as we headed back to the boat. Thanks again for joining me on today's visit to the Danube, and so excited to share with you because coming up, Vienna waits for you.